In 2024, I've had.
Wait, when did you?
I was a manager.
Oh yeah, so this is title of the video. How many jobs has Taylor? She's quit 3 jobs in 9 months. She has infinitely searched for her peace.
Oh yeah.
3 times.
Oh, I've done that one.
I just want to say, can we back up
Oh, no.
and discuss the fact that you not the conversation we had
Yeah.
after we filmed our last video about.
I think I would have still left if we didn't talk, but definitely talking about it. I'm like,
We were saying too, if you sold your car, you got a little extra change. That ain't it either.
Not yet. We'll see what
if this animal hospital don't work out, she may not be rolling up in a 99 Prius.
And I wouldn't mind. For my peace, I would not mind, honestly.
Wow.
Yep.
So, wow. You didn't want to see them people's faces no more. Because if you watch the last video, you talked about how she felt disrespected by them. And it's like she's already walking on thin ice, I think.
Yeah.
Like, you're walking on thin ice in terms of, like allowing people to it's easy for them to break you in the sense of like you're not taking this anymore. Like you've been dealing with crap for so long that you're finally like, I'm not.
And I feel like I'm still like in a, it's not that deep. I still feel like the only thing I can relate it to is still healing from something.
Maybe that's what entering your 30s is all about, like knowing what you deserve. Maybe, oh my God, don't tell me that I'm about to. So Taylor turns 30 in September, October, and basically just a little over a month. And when Taylor turns 30, that is what she's.
Ooh,
isn't that crazy?
I have boundaries and I know myself and what I like and what I don't like.
And that's why I'm still at my current job, because I turn 30 next year and I don't know what I like and don't like, and I currently still haven't set up boundaries yet. I feel, you know what, but to be honest with you, I'm joking, but I'm serious. I'm joking, but now that I'm thinking about it, I actually do feel myself moving closer and closer to the boundary line and like ready to set the boundary. Because you know what, this is like a really random weird thing. And like the Halloween thing, I made such a big deal about it, and then I realized like it's really not even that big of a deal. But so as we've been growing closer to God, I just feel like everybody has to do what you feel convicted to do, and as long as you have a close relationship with God, you're talking to Him, and you can feel Him telling you to do certain things and not to do certain things, I think that everybody's A-okay.
I love that.
But go ahead.
I would say too, be supportive of your friends still, regardless. If they're going through a moment where they feel like, I was so ready to, like, we can cut it. I was not getting a pumpkin. Cut the show. Like, Abby's not celebrating Halloween. We're not celebrating Halloween this year. Like, I was just ready for it. So, and even if it's not, it doesn't have to be to where you're not doing it either, but always be supportive of your friends in whatever season they're in.
Don't make them feel judged. Just support them and be like, okay, I see. And if they ask your opinion, you can give it. But like what you were saying, just like be there for the person. And just, it's about respecting them and not feeling any type of way or questioning it.
And if we want to celebrate your I am, like, we're going to do it. It's whatever.
Fine.
Yeah.
But I did feel convicted to just kind of like let it go a little bit, just for me.
Or put your own like
spin on it.
Yeah, exactly. You don't have to go off the deep end.
Yes. Which is kind of what's going to happen this year, because I guess I've never noticed it as much because I always celebrated it and I didn't care. But now that I have a kid and everybody keeps asking me what's her costume gonna be, the boundary thing I was saying was I felt awkward telling people that I don't want to celebrate this year really anymore. And I haven't been able to physically say the words to people. And so I feel myself moving closer, but every time someone brings it up, I'm just like, in my mind, like I don't. I think I told like one person, I finally sent a message back like, I'm not fine. I was like, what's Mia's costume? I wasn't thinking about dressing her this year. That's kind of all I said. But I'm moving closer to like well, why don't you just say it? Like, just say it. Nothing's gonna, and I know nothing's gonna happen, but it's the same thing as, for example, Taylor, I always offer her a drink whenever she comes over, like, not a drink, not alcohol, just water. Trying to get her drunk. I offer her like just water or like sparkling water or something, and she's always like, no, I'm fine. But it's so weird for me because it's like, why is it that I always feel like when someone offers me something, I have to say yes?
Yeah.
And when she does it, I'd be like, wow, I could do that. I could say no. And it's the same thing with the boundaries of like, I could just tell people, I'm not really feeling Halloween. And that's not to say that I think Halloween is 100% wrong, because I don't know everything, but that's just how I'm feeling right now. And I'm not gonna, I know not to speak like that to be a hypocrite, because 5 years from now, watch me and my whole family have a whole like family coordinated
Tiffany and TJ picture.
Yeah, the Davidson, our Daily Davidson vloggers, they be like going all out.
All out.
But I just currently kind of feel a move away, and that's what, again, something random Stephanie was talking about, the pastor I was talking about. She was like, sometimes you might feel a word from God where like he might just tell you don't eat meat for a year, and that's good for you. And she was like, some of y'all are vegans, but that's not my ministry, but go ahead.
Right.
Like, you just have to do what's right for you. And for some people who live hardcore vegan, that's good for them, and they feel better that way, and they can do it. Some people who are hardcore keto, good for you. And whether it's diets or jobs or whatever your thing is that you pick and you're hardcore about it, you do it and you stand 10 toes down. And that's where I'm at right now with like just going with the flow. And I just kind of feel convicted not to do it this year, and so I'm just kind of like steering away from it slowly. And I feel like that's kind of what God does. Like, God only shows you the step right in front of you, because if he were to show you where you'll be 10, 20, 30 years from now, you would not even believe it. You would understand it. You would start questioning it. You would start talking yourself out of it. You would steer the course to make yourself go further off the path. And if you just slowly take a step further, then if God gave you a little lens to see 30 years, you're going to run the other way. You're going to be like Jonah.
Right.
Jonah and the whale, and you're going to get swallowed up. Yeah.
Now, I think you said before that somebody at work talks to you about religion. But, like, do you feel... I know it's bad to, like, talk about politics, and some people say religion, too. Do you feel comfortable talking about religion at work?
The only reason why I feel comfortable, because shout out to that girl, I love her so much. She's actually a Jehovah's Witness.
Yeah, that's...
Yes, but the reason why I feel comfortable with her is because we don't talk about religion. We just talk about God.
Yeah.
And somehow she's a Jehovah's Witness, and I know she has certain beliefs, and they don't celebrate any pagan holidays. But all we do is... That, you know what brings people together? When, especially like whatever you believe in, like whether you like read the Quran or whatever, like there's different things, but when you connect on the Bible, all we do is talk about the Bible.
Yes.
So even though she's a Jehovah's Witness, we can sit there and talk about a Bible verse and like be like, no, we're reading the same words that God wrote, and we're feeling this just like you're reading that Bible study. Like she could read the same Bible study, but they have their own specific beliefs, and she never tries to impose those beliefs. One time she did invite me to her church. And I think I was pregnant at the time, and I was like tired, and I was moving, and a lot of stuff was happening, so I didn't go. But she has invited me, and I didn't go. And guess what? She was just fine.
Yeah. And
we've still been friends, and we've still been talking about. But again, like I said, it's a little bit different when like people are trying to convert you or like be more harsh. But yeah, if you're just talking about God and like people are respectful about it, and even if they're not on the same walk as you, but here's the thing: I'm never gonna shy on boasting about God or mentioning his name. Praise God. Like, praise God today. Like, God blessed me with an amazing parking spot. Like, I don't shy away from like throwing God's name in as a little razzle dazzle for beauty in my day. I don't shy away from it like that. But you kind of get this discernment and pick and choose like who you can really like.
I want to be more vocal about God around like in public and around others, because I thank God all day, but I feel like I don't do as much publicly. Or even during my interview, she was asking me like, do you have any more questions? Is there anything that like makes you feel nervous? Like if you were to be hired, like is there anything that would make you nervous about your first day? And I told her like, I don't know. Like I asked a few questions, but then she like kept asking like, oh, do you have any more? I'm like, no, I think I'm good. Like I asked everything I have to ask. And then she had like asked, is there anything you're nervous about? And I said no. Like today I'm not like nervous at all. Like nothing makes me feel nervous about what I'm doing. I'm actually pretty calm today. And she was like, oh, it's probably because it's raining today, and kind of laughed it off. But I know it wasn't that.
It was because of the presence of God. And you wanted to say that.
I wanted to say that. And I really wanted to say that. And I just need to be better about being, even if it was just, I could have said like, no, it's God, or like, I could have made it like
simple. You didn't have to make it a whole preaching.
Yeah, exactly. And I just want to do better at doing that, because I knew exactly what it was, and I just laughed it off. I was like, oh yeah, it is the rain. Like it's probably comforting in this night.
I will say I'm with you too on that, and the only thing I feel like God's spoken to me on it is that God, even if that person is an atheist or something.
Yeah, because the more aware I get of all the people that are out there, because I feel like when I was younger, I thought just everybody believed in God, and now that I know there's so much more out there, I feel like I am kind of careful with who I'm talking to. But it shouldn't be that way. I should still be open to say what I have to say.
If we really believe that God is the truly over everything and everyone, there is not an opportunity that you will miss out on just because you say His name. And that's what there's never any harm that will come to you, and if it is, it's God's rejection, and it's rejection that's God's protection. And that's kind of where I'm at too now, where sometimes I feel like I want to throw God's name in, and I'm like, yeah, praise God. And honestly, what I've come to realize is sometimes it catches people off guard, and it's in a good way, because that's how a lot of the times people get their own, like they get their own message. They come closer to God. So people like that girl the girl who I was sending you her TikToks about, like how the angel numbers and how she was talking about in her testimony. Her name is Ashley something. Taylor will insert because I'm gonna send her the TikTok. But her name is Ashley something, and she maybe like Jones, like something simple. But she talked about how when she was a white witch, where she was like doing like white magic, white witch, whatever it is, that there was an annoying girl who was a Christian who just had the power of prophecy, and she just had this beautiful spirit. She always smiled, and she was just looking at her like, girl, you're so annoying. Like, but for some reason she found that girl annoying, but she couldn't get away from her in the way where she's like, she's annoying, but I kind of want to be around that happy spirit of hers. And that's kind of how God worked. But people might not really believe in God. They may have come to terms with it, but when that is how God's glory continues to get spread around. And that is why we're here on earth. If none of us throw God in as razzle dazzle, then all the people who need to come to Christ would never come to Christ. If all of us who find, I wouldn't if people didn't talk about Him as much. The girl Milena Ciciotti, I thought that girl was crazy when all of a sudden she just flip-flopped her content from like she was Christian, but then she went like hardcore, like are y'all lukewarm? God loves you and He wants you to get your butt off the fence and to be a hardcore Christian. I was like, girl, relax.
Whoa,
But then months went by, and God started to convict me, and I'm like, oh, I get it. I get it. And like I said, different convictions for different people. For her, she felt convicted to stop focusing on her beauty as much, and she stopped getting her nails done, and she stopped but then there's people who are hardcore Christians that still do get their nails done and do their makeup and hair more than she does, but she knows for her it becomes an idol to her. Beauty becomes an idol. She's like, I can't get the lashes done, y'all, because when I do, it's led me down a dark path. And honestly, I find myself more beautiful now that I'm adjusting this way, or with her body, the way she dresses, like she dresses more modestly now. And at first I was like, okay, but that's her style. One thing, people be coming for her style. It's just her style, but also I see the beauty in it. When you dress a certain way to constantly like accentuate certain parts of your body, they look good one day and then you have a baby and they look bad the other day, and then you're constantly picking at it. Versus like just dressing in a way that makes you feel presentable and you're not constantly worried about it. And she got like 4 kids and she's bending down and sweating and cooking. She don't have time for all that. And at first I thought she was crazy. I was like, why are you dressing like that, girl? But then like I get it. So everybody has their own convictions. But if she didn't take that hard left into heaven, the glory of God, I was looking at her like she was crazy. And then all of a sudden God started to really show me this more and more and more. And like you said, the more that you throw out the razzle dazzles of God, even if people look at you like you're crazy, it's gonna plant a seed in their mind, and God will never take an opportunity from you for saying His name. And if He does, it was His protection anyway. You don't want to be around that anyway. That's just how I feel, because I don't feel like I'm ever in places where
you don't even second, like, guess.
No, like I don't want to talk. Like it's never. I'm in such secular places where like I don't want to talk about it. Actually, speaking of which, last year I remember vividly, they at my school, because I'm a school nurse. They were talking about this family that was like different. I don't know specifically why. This family may have been, apart from religion and what they do, they may have been like some difficult family to deal with. I don't know. But then I remember some staff mentioning like, oh yeah, they don't even celebrate holidays. They don't celebrate Halloween. This was this was like last year around Halloween when I dressed up my child for her first Halloween. I didn't think twice about it. And I was like, oh yeah, that is a little different. That is weird. They don't celebrate holidays. I don't really get all that. And then here I am a year later like, I don't really think I want to, you just never know. But watching them talk about that family, I was just like, oh, okay, well.
Yeah.
And you just never, like you said, that's why you don't always feel comfortable talking about your beliefs. But again, God talks about you going down the narrow path and not being of the world, but being of Him, and it all makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And I don't want to second guess it anymore, because I feel like I could have. Sometimes you think so hard on something, and you think about what you're gonna say, and you take too long to say it. Like, I just want to get to the point where I'm just openly and freely, like, even with my speech in general, I really think hard about what I'm gonna say, and I don't know how that's linked to childhood, but I'm pretty sure it is, because I always take it back to my childhood. And I think so hard about what I'm gonna say next. And it slows me down, and it stops me from saying things that I want to say in life in general. But I especially want to do that when it comes to God. Like, I don't ever want to second guess if I should say or mention His name. So
it just amazes me how we are so similar and opposite at the same time.
Yeah.
She needs to talk more. I need to talk less.
But it's so great that you grew up feeling like just being very comfortable with, not that I was like beat or anything for talking,
but also I think part of it. Okay, but think about when you were like 4, 5, 6, 7 years old. Like, were you just naturally a quieter person in school?
I think I'm naturally that way too.
Yeah.
And my mom always mentioned like stay in a child's place and like don't get in this conversation and don't say that.
But what about when you went to school?
Don't do this. I was naturally quiet in school. I don't think she had. Did she tell me to be quiet? No.
You were just naturally quiet, and I was naturally, as my mother called me, the 5 o'clock news.
I love that.
Because I would come, listen, the teachers, if they needed to know what happened, they would come and ask me. I know you know.
And look at how well you speak now. You just say, you flow and you say what you have to say. I love that. And you're a great storyteller. I've been telling her that since college. Like, she tells the best story, so. I will
say, in the way that God is working on you to talk more for me, again, and I felt bad today because I've been talking. It's not about talking too much, but again, it's like, not everything always needs to be said, and for me the difference is it's like, why are you talking? And I realize for me it's like this awkwardness to feel like you have to fill in a gap to talk, and you don't have to, but then you kind of start to feel some type of way when people aren't responding as you want them. It's weird, and I've realized that about myself. Like, sometimes I start talking because it's just like you feel like you have to, or fill a void, or to even like be, not to be funny, but to like bring a commonality between people, to like validate. Maybe that's a word for myself. I'm realizing now, maybe like to validate myself. Like when I'm at work, like I'm talking to people, like I feel like I have, like, why do I feel like I have to insert myself and say, like, if somebody, it's almost.
So I've done some research and I actually found that it's natural, like social skills, and people actually do enjoy when you ask them about their day and ask them about their
life. Which is true. So that is true, and I do
not do that. Like, I'm like, hey, like, I'll ask you, hey, how's your morning going? And then I'm like, okay, so let's get started on what we're supposed to do for work. Like, we're here to work, let's work. And it's not that I don't love those people and like enjoy who I work with ever, but like, we're here to work, so let's start working.
I don't think that
I just talk about work.
I think as millennials, we ain't really down with the small talk.
Yeah.
That's why I love those TikToks about millennials where it's like when you're a millennial, when you call off and you have like a millennial boss, and they're like, what? Okay, what's going on? All right, anyway, they don't even care. Like, it's no small talk. It's no questioning. It just is what it is. And even if you are calling off for the 30th time and you're going to get fired, it still ain't much of a conversation. We'll handle that later when it needs to be handled. But other generations, they be really doing the small talk of like, so what? What's going on?
Right.
You're doing what again?
That's so true.
And we don't really do all of that as much anymore.
That's very true. I've noticed that from me being a manager and other people being my manager, it's a big difference. Even when it's like a no call, no show, I'm like, I'll give you a call and I'll do like the final call, 24 hours, you gotta call me back, or I'm thinking you're resigning from the position. Like, I'll do all that, go over the whole script, but like, I'm not gonna hound you down. Like, I know you're okay, you just don't want to be here anymore, and that's fine.
Yes, and if I do get in contact with you, I'm not asking you A through Z. I'll ask you A, B, and C. That's on this list that I have to.
Business.
It's your business. I'm not digging and judging and whatnot, whatever it is, what it is. So yeah. But for me, it's more of like when I'm at work and we're all sitting down talking, sometimes I feel like I have to like constantly make a joke or constantly say something. Like I admire.
But you have the confidence to even like, I would never.
But now it's dwindling away because, like I said, sometimes, to be honest, you kind of, which is why to like sum this whole video up, like Taylor's quitting jobs and stuff, but that's why I admire her, because me too, even though I know God has me here for a reason and He's teaching me so many lessons, when I do talk sometimes and I feel like I just don't always feel like I'm meant to be there. Like, it's always like the awkward one where I'm just sitting there like, I don't know what it is. It's people who are like similarly my age, and I could be overthinking it sometimes.
I think it might be a little bit of imposter syndrome, because you are an amazing, like, You're a great
which is
speaker, and I would want you in the room if I was somewhere with a lot of people to be that person.
It is true,
too,
but I think in this scenario where I'm at, for some reason with school nursing, it's like they hire you to be the nurse, but there's so many nuances to being a school nurse that you don't really get trained on how the school works and like all the acronyms and this and that and what this person does and this person does and how this system works and this IEP and get this and I don't really know it all. So like the people who do, I'm kind of like on the outside of like, I just came here to take care of the sick children. And then I do get thrown into these meetings and we're talking and I'm learning more and more and more slowly and stuff. But when I try to insert myself, I feel like they automatically know I don't know what I'm talking about. And then there's also the language barrier because I don't speak Spanish and my school is Spanish speaking. Like it's dual language, but pretty much all the staff there is pretty much you have to be Spanish speaking unless you're the nurse. Because nursing is just like, do you want a nurse or not? Like y'all gonna get other clinicians, they can be more picky, like the social worker, the psychologist, speech, like you can't be a speech pathologist for kids and you don't speak their language, like you have to. But with nursing, like most of us don't. I don't know what it is with nursing, especially in Chicago or something. There's so many black nurses, but a lot of us don't speak Spanish, and so you can't be. And we're so short staffed. Nursing is short. You can't be picky with it. So like even today during a meeting, like maybe it was me, but again, like you said, sometimes you feel like you're being disrespected. And again, I think me and Taylor go out of our way to be empathetic to people and to make people feel comfortable. It kind of made me uncomfortable when like I was trying to ask a question because this person knows that you're translating for me, and while I can understand a lot of Spanish, I miss a lot. They take that for granted and they just like, oh well, she's getting most of it and I'm missing out on a lot of it. So I even like Google translated a question into Spanish and I tried to ask it and she just like didn't even, like she just kept Spanish with the other person. And now, it was about like 5 to 10 minutes later where she was like, oh yeah, you were gonna ask the question, what was it? And I was just like, it's okay. It's fine. And I think for her,
don't do that to my friend.
And I get it. Again, for her, she tries to cut me off because I do take responsibility for the fact that we have to like be these cats of mine. They're play fighting.
Oh,
listen,
no fighting.
Yeah, they're just play fighting.
Okay.
But I take responsibility for the fact that sometimes during meetings, like. Sometimes we only have an allotted amount of time, and if it gets to be too chit chatty, then you miss a lot. But she be cutting me off for real, like I'm a child sometimes. Like we gotta stay on. Like she doesn't say that, but I can tell she's like ignoring me sometimes. She does that in meetings all the time. Like when she knows I'm trying to like understand or like her notes. Like I was like, I got to the point today where I was like, why am I even here? Because I was trying to like even just she's typing her notes in English. Like I'm trying to read it, and she's like, I'm just gonna rework this whole thing anyway, so I don't even worry about it. So I was like, I can't really ask questions because you're not translating, and then you don't even want me to just. I was like, I know you tell me this every time we do this. I know these aren't your final notes. I'm just trying to get a gist of what you're talking about, so that I'm not sitting here for no reason, because I could have been in a different meeting. So I'm just like, I just sat there like her, and she knows that about herself too, that she can be overbearing, and that again, those are the kind of people you don't want to work with. But granted, this person, she's a very nice person overall. But I think sometimes people don't understand how they come off and how they can lack empathy sometimes and be overbearing and stuff. But it's a lot of people like that where she knows the ins and outs of like working in a school better than I do as her position, and so I'm just kind of coming in like I'm just trying to be somebody's nurse, and so it just I feel that kind of on the outside where like let me just shut up, let me just shut up, and I was doing other stuff on my computer, and I was like, girl, just go ahead, and I'm gonna just do my all, and I've gotten to the point with at a job, all I can do is come in, and I know I'm gonna do my best. If there's gaps I'm missing, is to be honest, because what you guys are providing me, there's gaps. Like y'all aren't providing us with everything we need, whether it's an adequate staffing, and y'all are asking us to do X, Y, and Z, and we don't even have time to do it. Like I'm doing my best, and you're not gonna sit here and like constantly badger me. Because honestly, I know there's people doing better than me, but there's people doing way worse than me. And I'm doing more than the bare minimum. I'm doing my best, and so don't sit here and keep questioning.
Exactly. I know.
So
that's
yeah. Okay.
We got it all out. Had our venting session.
So now what's going to happen after this podcast? I don't even know, because she didn't quit her job. Next one she will have started.
Oh my goodness.
No, maybe not.
Oh,
you might have, because hopefully we can record another one before. We'll see. We'll see. Oh my goodness. There's so many changes. Every time there's going to be a big change. But how did you... This name is so, like...
Who knew it would make so much sense?
We came up with this name actually on my daughter's first birthday party.
Yes.
We were driving to pick up the food, and we were just in the car like, well, if we do this, what could we name it?
Right?
And this,
what is something that we
always
think
say
about
or
a
think
lot or
about.
always say?
And this, at this point,
This
is
is it.
very where we are in our lives. How
Very
did we get here?
Well, thank you guys for joining today.
We'll see you in our next video. We don't know what it's going to be, but we'll see.
We'll see you. Bye.
Bye.